And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Alpharetta Tech Talk. I'm John Ray, and we are still virtual, folks. We're not back in our usual home inside Renaissance Bank, but we still love the folks there at Renaissance Bank. They do a great job with small businesses, and if you're looking for a better, more personal relationship with your bank where real people actually answer the phone, imagine that. Be in touch with the folks at Renaissance. RenaissanceBank.com to find the nearest office, and there are 190 such offices across the Southeast ready to serve you. I know personally the job they do, so check them out, RenaissanceBank.com. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Anas Sawaf, and Anas is he's the director of IoT, that's the Internet of Things, and Analytics with CirrusLabs. Anas, welcome.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure.
It's great to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, if you could give everyone an overview of CirrusLabs, tell everyone what your company does.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Yes, absolutely. So CirrusLabs is a professional technology professional services provider. We have a focus on emerging technologies around cloud, data, IoT, and automations. We work across a variety of customers and industries in the enterprise space. We have been in the business, obviously, for over 15 years. We've been successful over the years, and we've been progressing nicely and smoothly over those years out of Alpharetta, Georgia.
Now, that's awesome. Now, you have got some pretty timely technology that you are releasing that involves the prevention of infectious disease spread. Let's get into that.
Yes. So obviously, we started at the early stage in terms of thinking about how can we help organizations bring people back to work safely. So since the beginning of the crisis, actually, we thought in terms of how can we leverage emerging technologies to solve some of those problems that organizations are facing. So we partnered with Software AG, one of our strategic partners in the IoT and application technologies, to develop a solution where we can collect, process, and analyze thermal and proximity data all from entry point and throughout the facilities, right? The purpose of that is basically to provide enterprise executives and enterprise management with the right information so they can put together the right safety policies, take the right decisions, mitigate risk, and obviously make sure they are complying to the regulations as we move forward. So we believe that obviously these crises are persistent. They're going to be for quite some time, and many organizations will be reworking their processes, changing some of their policies, or developing even new policies. So we are basically trying to provide data and informations real time or near real time for management decision making.
And obviously, IoT is a big part of that. In your company, you've got deep experience in IoT. So talk about how that technology plays into all this.
Yes, absolutely. So IoT is pretty much a technology architectures, right? So we're leveraging IoT from a data acquisition perspective. So we're looking into a solution where we are able to collect thermal data or visual data through thermal or visual cameras. We're also able to collect proximity data and contact tracing data through wearables, or other means, take that information, processing it on IoT platforms in the cloud, and then making that data available for enterprises. So the ability to collect data from those IoT devices at scale. And what I mean by scale is not only 100 or 200, but we're talking about thousands and thousands of possible proximity detectors, a few hundred of cameras, regardless where their location is, whether the cameras or the wearables are in the US or in Europe or Asia. We are providing the ability through IoT to collect information at scale, processing it, and making it available to the enterprise across the board.
Yeah, you mentioned the devices themselves. So you were talking about wearables. Be more specific about what that means in terms of the device itself.
Yes. So basically, the wearables are something like you can have a watch or a wristband kind of device that basically, if that wristband get in close proximity to another wristband, for example, can collect that information, store the information, and send the information over a connectivity protocols for further processing. Now, there are multiple of connectivity protocols that we at CirrusLabs have tested. We are currently using a narrowband connectivity protocol, where basically we're making it easy for organizations to have a plug-and-play kind of wearables, so they can immediately bring people in at a very low investment, at a very high speed of bringing back people safely.
Folks, we're speaking with Anas Sawaf. He is the director of IoT and Analytics at CirrusLabs. Now, I'd imagine the part of the appeal here, I guess, is not just the one-off incident where, you and I may happen to get too close to each other for, a very brief period of time because I stepped in your space or something like that, and I stepped back out. But we're talking about maybe a entire factory where maybe the supervision has fallen off, and maybe there's a lot of incidents, right? And so when you're reporting that data back to the risk management part of an enterprise company, they can see where their overall risk is. I mean, I'm not sure if I described that adequately, but that's really kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about when you say at scale, that's really what you mean, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So management, top management, basically, they are interested to understand, what is, for example, the average temperatures coming in at different entry point to my factories, right? What are the the average proximity distances between workers on the factory floors, for examples? How many cases of or possible elevated temperature cases they found across different factories in different locations, whether here in the US or outside, right? So those just some examples of some of the data that organizations are looking at, so they can compile and can create a risk profiles and social distancing matrix to measure the risks and how different departments or location are compliant to the different regulatory standards or safety standards that those companies are putting forward.
Now, when we were speaking before we came on about these devices, Anas, and you were saying there's more to it than just proximity. There's more to it than just temperature monitoring. Talk about what else that this device can, the different data points that this device can monitor.
Oh, absolutely. So So we are looking into obviously protecting the investment of our customers, right? So having proximity detectors may not be just enough. So those detectors that we are currently rolling out with our partners can provide other features or functionality, things like lone workers, right? Emergency buttons. Somebody fell down, for example, and they wanted to have an alert that somebody in the warehouse fell down, for examples. So there are multiple feature sets that can be onboarded and can be checked on, off as needed by the enterprise. So with those kind of wearables, we are obviously trying to protect the investment of the enterprises and provide safety measures beyond COVID-19. Because as you know, John, I mean, there are a lot of infectious diseases, right? So COVID-19 is one of them, right? Mm-hmm. So it might be also, as we move forward with a new norm, the new normals at work is basically keeping distances between individuals, workers, in the office or in the factories. So we're looking into creating some kind of a sustainable model, sustainable investment, and an affordable investment. We know a lot of businesses these days have a lot of impacts, whether they are in the manufacturing sectors or the airline sectors or hospitality, etc. So we are very mindful of that fact that any investment to be made has to be sustainable and rewarding, and a clear return on investment is defined.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned that I was fascinated by, again, before we came on the air, is that this wearable can detect whether someone's wearing a mask or not.
Yeah, well, it's not the wearable per se, but is actually we use artificial intelligence algorithms with visual or thermal cameras to detect the elevated temperatures of individuals, and also to detect if people are wearing PPEs, things like a mask, for example, or if people are wearing yellow jacket or helmets or gloves, right? So what we have is quite something interesting where we can overlay the artificial intelligence models, the visual analytics models, on an existing video streams that's coming from the video surveillance systems that already exist within a factory or a warehouse or any location. We analyze those feeds using the artificial intelligence models. We call them the visual analytics models. And based on those visual analytics models output, we can basically send alert, email, SMSs. We create databases for further processing and decision making.
Wow, that's amazing. That's got to have a impact on. I mean, there's a number of impacts, obviously, but one of the things that pops to mind is liability.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, how that mitigates a company's liability.
Yes, actually, thank you, John. This is actually a good question. Thank you for asking that for sure. We're starting to see some interesting dynamics, by the way, when we're talking to our customers. In the old days or before the COVID-19, usually we submit proposals and customers were asking pricing variations, for examples, or typical terms and condition and all of that, right? Nowadays, actually, a lot of the customers' legal team are getting involved. The risk officers are getting involved because there are a lot of liability issues, right? And we are stepping into something that is related to risks, liability on organizations, privacy of workers and individuals, right? So what we have been working on with our partners, obviously, putting together privacy statements, right? So we have privacy statement where we clearly define where the data is located, how the data is being processed, and how the data is being used, right? And obviously, we're looking into some quite interesting technologies for employee consent, mutable data records, as well, etc. Right? So what we're seeing from the market currently, there are two aspects to this. There is an element where the employers or organization trying to protect the employees for their own safety and obviously bringing their operation up to speed. That's number one. But they are also worried about some lawsuits coming toward their way in terms of, we are not protecting the employees far enough, right? So it's kind of like a balance for enterprise customers, making sure that to put everything available to protect employees while maintaining security, privacy, and mitigating risks.
Folks, we're here with Anas Sawaf, and Anas is Director of Emerging Technologies, IoT and Analytics specifically, with CirrusLabs. We're sitting here doing this interview at the end of June. COVID-19 hit us, really in January, February, but shutdown started in March. That's not a long time. So I guess what I'm curious is what's the trajectory of this product development been? Because this is awfully rapid. It seems for, a shutdown of COVID-19 to have occurred in March. And I'm sitting here interviewing you on these solutions here at the end of June. That's amazing, Anas.
Yes. Thank you, John. Thank you. Actually, we started at the very early in the game, right? So we kind of like envisioned the problems, and we immediately jumped into how can we create a solution. So we at CirrusLabs, obviously, we have a big practice related to agility transformations, where we develop, obviously, solution in a very agile way. So we put our teams together across different technology domains, and we have used our experience in agile methodology for product development and innovations to accelerate the development of these solutions. And obviously, we have accomplished a lot. As I said, this solution that we are rolling out has a few components, and we've been, very successful in the last couple of months in rolling out something like as complex as this, but also as viable as this in a short time. So moving forward, obviously, this is going to be one of our standard offering. As I said earlier, this crisis is going to be persistent possibly for a year or two. So we intend to continue our innovation and our investment in the solution. Obviously, the code name or the marketing name, it's called, by the way, Photon 4. So Photon 4 is the marketing name of our health and safety solution for the enterprise.
Gotcha. And folks, we're going to have links in the show notes. So, and a photo or two. So check that out there. But one thing I know some of our listeners have got to be wondering is, what's the customer fit here? Is this technology such that you're really aiming at enterprise companies only, or how large or small of a business? How small of a business really can take advantage of this technology? Because everybody needs something like this, right?
Yes, absolutely, John. So our primary focus is, first of all, on the enterprise customers, maybe medium to large customers with above 500 employees. Let's put it this way. That's number one. As far as the marketing or sectors or the different market or industries, we're seeing a great demand in the manufacturing, industrial customers. Obviously, also we're seeing some big investment coming in for the universities and college campuses as well to bring students back to colleges, as soon as possible, safety. There are some other industries in the logistics space as well, where they are starting to invest. Also, retail is an interesting area, large retailers, not necessarily in the retail space itself, but more related to the back-end operations, like logistics, warehousing, storage departments, etc.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Anas, this has been great, and I could go on, but I guess one final question, and then I want to make sure we get your contact information out there for those that want to be in touch. Sure. Obviously there's a feverish research attempt worldwide to get a vaccine for COVID-19. Do organizations still need this solution if that vaccine is found?
Yes, as I said earlier, the infectious diseases never stops, right? So having protection throughout the facilities will always be a need. So we are only trying to support the organization in mitigating some of the risks, obviously. So we do see that there is a sustainable demand for safety and health at the enterprise and at different organizational level for sure. So we are getting a lot of feedback from our customers, and we are pivoting with our solutions and use cases according to the need that we're finding and in the market, and by listening to the customers and our prospects as well.
Anas Sawaf has been with us, folks. He is the Director of Emerging Technologies, that is IoT and Analytics at CirrusLabs. Anas, this has been awesome. Thanks so much for being with us. But before I let you go, please give us, for those that would like to be in touch and would like more information on what you've got to say today, tell them how they can be in touch.
Absolutely. So we have a dedicated page on our website, www.CirrusLabs.io. So that's one way to do it. Also on LinkedIn, we have CirrusLabs channel on LinkedIn. I can be always reached personally either through LinkedIn, private messaging, or obviously on my email, which is anas@CirrusLabs.io. My phone number as well, 470-298-4331, just in case.
Okay, that sounds great. Anas Sawaf, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's our great pleasure. Folks, just a reminder that we are this show is on all the major podcast apps. You can find us there by searching either Alpharetta Tech Talk or under our network feed for Business RadioX. So you can find us on all the major podcast platforms. And we're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We publish our shows there under North Fulton BRX, which is our home studio. So for my guest, Anas Sawaf, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on Alpharetta Tech Talk.